Today I want to make another collection update about my albums. Most of them they are from metal of any kind of style in general inside metal, but some also albums from here and there inside the whole, let's say, rock genre in general. So let's start. First of all, here I will start with the first debut album of Tribulation by the name The Horror. This album, when it came out, it was even more death metal than the style of Tribulation of today. Tribulation of today, they became something between melodic death and gothic metal with some black metal influences. But in this album, their first two albums, and especially in this album, they played even more a kind of Swedish death metal with a so great also cover art. And I will continue with Sweden with another band, and I'm speak about the band of the mastermind of Dissection. Before Dissection, John, he had another band by the name The Black. He made an album, one full-length album with them, but here I will speak about a demo of this band, and I'm speak about The Black. This was the name of the band, and this is the first demo of them by the name Black Blood. Here he played a little bit more Norwegian dark throne style of black metal. And let's go now to Greece. I am from Greece originally, and one of the special bands of Greece, they are Nightfall. Nightfall, they started as something like between melodic death metal and with some black metal influences. Afterwards, also they had the gothic metal influences in their music, some industrial metal influences. Today they came back with a very good album in the last year. Let Us Pray, if I'm not sure was the name of the band, of the album, of the new comeback album of them. And here I will bring their second album, Macabre Sunsets. Also great melodic death metal of the 90s in this album. Now another band from United States of America, and I'm speaking about Achilles, if I prefer it well. These guys, they play something like something between melodic and atmospheric black metal, horror black metal. Here I will bring their second album by the name The Dreaming Eye, also with a great cover art. Their third album of them came out in 2021 and was also very great, but this is their second studio album. They have also ambient influences in their music. Now let's go to England and let's speak about one of the main famous new wave of British heavy metal bands, Angel Witch. They became even more famous because of their debut album. Afterwards, they made two other albums that they were not so famous in these two albums. They disbanded for many years and came back, and before some years, and until after the comeback of them, they made two other albums, and this is the last album of them until now. Came out in 2019, something like that. And here I have this last album, Angel of Light, of Angel Witch. Also very good style of new wave of British heavy metal. In these two albums, they play very close to the debut album of them. And now the first work, the first album of Mortis of Ex-Emperor. And in this album, like also the two others afterwards, after this album, either in his three first albums, he played the style that let's say defines what is calling today dungeon music, dark style of between something between ambient, dark dungeon, something like that, synth, dungeon synth. Let's call it like that. And this album is so great about this style of dungeon synth. The name is in Norwegian, Fod til Herske, something like that. A great album. I listened to it for much period of time. Now, one great Swedish thrash black metal band. They were from the beginning of this style of black thrash, retro black metal of the last period, the last years of the 90s. And I'm speaking about Bewitched. In their two first albums, they played really great black thrash metal. The three albums afterwards, they were even more heavy metal than thrash. But here we have this very good black thrash metal album, their debut album by the name Diabolical Desecration. Great album. I spoke also now when I'm speaking about another band that I spoke in the past about them, a not so famous band, also from Sweden, also from the 90s, and they played the style of melodic Swedish melodic death metal. And I'm speaking about Infernal Gates and their album From the Myths of the Dark Waters. I know that this album is not so famous, but it's so great. If someone likes Amorphis, or the Amorphis of the first albums of them, Tales from the Thousand Lakes, etc., he has to find also this great album of Infernal Gates from Sweden. And now, a Norwegian black metal band, even more something between epic Viking black metal, and I'm speaking about Campfire from Norway. This is the third album of them by the name Kvass. Very good, the style of harsh epic black metal. And now, a great album of Virgin Steel. Virgin Steel, they were, then they continue, of course, until now. The band continues, but it's not the same style that they were before. They were one of the great, let's say, epic metal bands from the United States, with great music. And I'm speak about this great also album of them, The Marriage of Heaven and Hell Part 1. I prefer the Part 1 even more from the Part 2. And I can say that unfortunately the mastermind of the band, after Visions of Eden, that was also a good album, but with not so good production. After this album, for me, destroyed Virgin Steel, and today this is not exactly what we expect about from the band. but this album was also great when it came out, also in the 90s. 1997 came out. Now, let's go to a progressive metal band. I'm not sure they are from, not sure they're from United States, from Sweden. I'm not sure exactly the place that they came out. I think that they are Americans, but maybe I'm not. Maybe I make a mistake. In any case, these guys, their name, their Shadow Gallery. Shadow Gallery. This is the debut album of them, also by the name Shadow Gallery. And this is one of the best progressive metal bands, also of the 90s. Many people maybe they don't know them, but I think that this band, together with the Symphony X, they are great progressive bands of our dates, let's say. But Shadow Gallery, I don't know if it's disbanded, but they made their last album before 10 years from now, something like that, and we did listen something about them in the recent past. Let's continue now with a great American death metal band. I'm speaking about Monstrosity, and this is one of the great albums of them in Dark Purity. Very, very, very strong album of death metal. Unfortunately, the cover art is so childish and awful, but it's a great also album, monster album of them. Now, I will continue with another black metal release, and speak about the debut album of Diabolical Masquerade. This band is one man's band, especially from Sweden. The mastermind of Katatonia is behind this band, but here he played a style of melodic black metal with some gothic influences. As in some points they're very close to the vampiric black metal of Brutal Filth, but they're not exactly the same thing, not at all. This is the debut album. Also, Dan Schwano, he played here some instruments, and this is a great, really melodic black metal album. The name of the album is Raven Dusk in My Heart. Now, and I'm continuing with Sweden. One of the very, let's say, this band is a little bit underrated. They play something like melodical power metal, Euro power metal, but even more melodic. And I'm speaking about Nocturnal Rites. Nocturnal Rites. Unfortunately, that this kind of bands, they are under the shadow of bands like Hammerfall. If I'm speaking about Sweden, this band is also very good, especially with this album, The Sacred Talisman. Great also album. A little bit of the cover art reminds me the Fourth Legacy of Camelot, but it's a great album. Now, this band that we speak now is one of the greatest bands of the whole metal history. They were something like between Schlads and darker stoner doom metal. And I'll speak about this monster band, Acid Bath. Acid Bath, they made 2 studio albums and 1 EP. And here we have to speak about the first debut album of them by the name When the Kids String Pops, if I prefer it well. This is a great sludge stoner doom metal album. Call it which name you want. Very sinister. Also the cover art is sinister. It comes from one of the serial killers by the name J.W. Casey. But except of that, the album is so great. Acid Bath. Unfortunately, they didn't continue after their second studio album. I think that also one member of them, he was killed in an accident. So afterwards, if I'm not sure, they disbanded. Okay, now another band, and they are Germans from Germany. They play style of Euro power metal with classical influences like Malmsteen, if you understand me, and then speak about Advance and their debut album by the name No Escape. Also very good album of this style of Malmsteen's Euro power metal. Now, this album that we speak about is not metal at all, and I'm speak about one compilation of the best songs of Tina Turner. Simply the best. I like always I like Tina Turner. This kind of style of music, she has some also rock influences that are in her music. Also very good. But last but not least for today, another Norwegian black metal band. And they made not so many albums, and only in the first debut album they played even more, let's say, a style of melodic black metal or majestic black metal. A little bit afterwards they became a little bit more industrial black, but if I'm not sure, but in the beginning they played majestic black metal. And I'm speak about Malignant Eternal and their debut album Tornet, if I prefer it well, with this great also cover art, great majestic black metal from Norway, also at the beginning of the 90s. So this is about this second video of my CD metal collection most of the time from Jerusalem, from Israel. Stay metal and stay heavy.